What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Dojo. My name is Carmen. We have Sean, Ray, and Nathmar with us again. We took another week off, so it seems like we're getting that every 2 weeks schedule going. We'd like to do every week, so hopefully we can come back. It's been a wild 2 weeks. I think I'm probably echoing my sentiments from last week, but I am optimistic with what's going on. I know a lot of people, I'm seeing some clamor. It's weird. First, people were complaining because of the bots and no one could get drops. And now everyone's getting drops and they're complaining about the fact that everyone's getting drops and it's kind of messing with the market. But we will talk about sort of the good, the bad, and the ugly over the course of the next hour or so. Let's jump right in and get to the meat of the last 2 weeks. Favorite drops of the last 2 weeks that you guys enjoyed. Ray, I'm going to start with you.
I'm a sucker for the Disney villains. I usually don't love the mighty, like the way they do the mighties and like the detailed sculpts. But I feel like just like the theme of like cartoon villains, super cool. Loved it. Ended up picking up a Jafar and then an Ursula. And then at some point, I'll probably just complete the set because at that point, like you got the most expensive ones, right? But no, I think they're great. I'm a big fan of them. I don't know that they have huge spec potential, but just as like a personal love, like for Disney, I think they hit the mark for what those villains and what those like franchises kind of bring about, right? So love those. And then from a comic book reading perspective, I never read it before. The Spider-Man and the Flash book was pretty cool. I only got one of them, floor price, real cheap, not specking on it, but neat read. So that was me.
All right, Nathmar, what about you?
I didn't buy any of the drops, but I did buy the X-Men one. That's when Magneto took out the metal from Wolverine's body. I think that's a great PC because it reminded me back of the day when I read it and I loved comics. So it was a great PC one. I waited for it to be like $3 or $4, so I got a deal. But I'm liking the Disney. I still haven't bought it. I think it might go down a little bit, so I'm gonna wait a little bit more. And I like the Matt Gondek art. I haven't not bought it either because I still think it's still high. So I'm gonna wait for it to dip a little bit more before I get it. But I like those indie art that I think long term there might be some demand.
Nice. Sean, what about you?
I don't know. I feel like it's been kind of like a little slow period because I feel like they're holding off on everything until the queue's done. And I feel like they're running behind clearly because they said they were going to launch the testing queue publicly in April. So, I mean, they still could do it. There's still, like a week left. But for me, nothing huge, really. I'd buy one of every comic, I liked some of them, but probably the Wolverine one was my favorite one. But besides that, I'd say nothing huge, really, for me.
Right. I'm curious to see if we're going to get, is there an AMA scheduled anytime in the next 2 weeks? Do we know, or
there's got to be one next week. If they not, then they're gonna cause a freaking riot.
Right. Like that's what I'm thinking too. As far as the last 2 weeks, I guess if we were to meet 2 weeks ago, we probably would have been on the tail end of that Batman Black and White, which I really like. The prices are kind of fair. They ballooned, but they didn't get too crazy. I've mentioned this before. Like, if you are a Jim Lee fan, that Jim Lee Batman is like beautiful. And it's kind of more what you want. The Coke thing was weird. I don't know. Like, when I see stuff like the Coke drop, it makes me wonder. Like, I start thinking utility, right? Unless it's just a wild money grab. And what's crazy about it is, I mean, it was pretty expensive. Like, it wasn't cheap. And now all of the collectibles are floating around like, 15, 18 gems. And I don't know, it might be one of those gotcha things where in 6 months they're like, hey, anybody that has the Coke set will get a QR code to get 10% off to get 10% off.
There's rumors about maybe getting like a, you know how they have that Coca-Cola bite that they're doing the metaverse thing around. There's rumors that maybe they'll drop a Coca-Cola bite NFT to people that hold the Coca-Cola set. It's just a rumor, but I mean, it makes sense because they launched a metaverse thing that they're doing around Coca-Cola bite is what they call it, BYTE. So
Yeah,
The Coca, I have not even heard of this.
yeah, look it up.
Coca-Cola bike.
Yeah,
I think one of the, I didn't pick up any of the deadbeat stuff. Like I have I had all three of the weapons racks, and I just drug my feet on the rare one. Even when it was at 100, I was like, maybe I'll buy it. Nah, not really. And then quite literally, like 3 days later, you get that news about, like, really, I don't love the deadbeats. Those things have bottomed out. His that control painting has sort of bottomed out, but I think that sort of setup might be my favorite thing of the last 2 weeks, just because it gives us a sense of possibility of what we might see moving forward, right? Where we get, all these inner working NFTs that then will also entitle you to an airdrop. I think once that might be like the roadmap, really. You know what I mean?
I think in the recently too, I was like looking at Matt Gondek's like his Twitter page, and like he was promoting, he gave away one of his prints, and I thought that was cool. Like I was actually close to buying one of his prints just for like a physical print. So I thought, from a physical art perspective, it's cool to get some signed work from an artist. So long term, I think the failure control, it went down 70s. It's around that 70 to 100 range, right? So I don't know. Long term, it might have potential because it's attached to a real artist with a real fan base. So maybe,
if he does, like, say he does art shows for the next 15, 20 years, those could be worth thousands, tens of thousands of dollars. I mean, I'm not exaggerating. Shit in the art world can go berserk for
because he has a couple of
reasons.
He has a couple of cool physical prints. I saw he had the Homer Simpson one. I was looking into buying that one. So the failure to control is definitely Mickey Mouse, right? So there was a big stink about people confirming. If it's not, it's definitely Mickey Mouse. So like he just decomposes or deconstructs, yeah, like some characters. So I think it's a kind of cool art, So
if NFTs get adopted mainstream, I mean, by 2030, fine art NFTs could be worth quite a bit of money.
Pop art.
Yeah, and that was why. I mean, actually, I'll save my comments for the next section. But like I said, the deadbeat stuff I loved just because it gave us some perspective on future possibilities. Because
Oh, so close. So close.
Yes.
Well, while we wait on Carmen, baby's back. Oh, so close, Carmen.
Are we here?
You're back.
God. Is this another,
Can you hear me?
Is this another Kinseyera just completely sapping your Wi-Fi?
Oh, no, am I back?
You guys saw that, right? You guys saw that that meme, right? Everybody's like, my turn.
Yeah. Look, it's just your neighbors throwing down, sapping your Wi-Fi. They just have, I'm sure, 50, 60 people over there, and they're all just...
I know, they're messing you up.
They're all buying NFTs.
I think.
They're all buying NFTs right now. Yes.
NFTs are overloading your network.
Yeah. But like I said, I think if the Gondek stuff gives us a roadmap to what we can do with Coca-Cola, then sky's the limit, really, on these airdrops and how functional they are. I don't know if we talked about...
Sorry to interrupt you. You mentioned something about that where somebody asked in the AMAs about larger corporations, and somebody mentioned Coca-Cola, Disney, and a couple other things. They're like, these big-time IPs that, have like the best lawyers in the world, is it possible to get stuff through there like airdrops? And you was like, yes and no. He's like, we want to, but it's a long process for the corporations is what it appears. That seemed like his impression 100%. So it probably will happen, but probably not for a while.
Right.
And also to add to that, like I think a lot of corporations, they're all creating their mini metaverses. Like JP Morgan made their own private club. So if you have something probably like Amex or Coca-Cola, like you got their NFT, it's probably an entry to their private club. So that's possible, because everybody's making their own private metaverse, right? So
Yeah, I think overall, like the comics were kind of hit or miss. The baseball stamp, I think, I loved. First of all, because it's just one, right? Like that's the cool thing about this baseball stamp is there really aren't a ton of them. There's just one, and I think it's like there's 7,123 of them. And I think on a long enough timeline, there will be enough specific baseball fans who will want to be able to display that somewhere, and it will fall into that fine art category for specifically athletes. So yeah, and like you said, right, I really like the villains. I didn't grab them yet. I have a sinking suspicion they'll probably all fall into the teens except for Jafar. I see Jafar eventually. I feel like I never feel good saying this because I know people bought it, and I feel like I'm just like dumping on it, and it's just not going to give the NFT much momentum. But I can see that at least for some time sitting at around like 50, 60. But I think the Ursula's the win. I think that's the best one out of all.
It's sick. Yeah, but ultimately, I think Sean, like the past 2 weeks, like you're hitting the nail on the head, man. I think that we're just not seeing the drops. Like they're holding out. It's obvious that like I'm sure Marvel recognizes most likely that hey, this is a downtime for V because the company and they are well aware of what V's inner workings are. I'm sure because
100%.
That's part of the deal, right? And they're like, hey, we know when to drop these things, so we're not going to coincide like Fantastic Four 48 with a down period. They're going to be waiting for that MTL to pop off. So 100%, right? I think you're right. Like I just think
about movies. They make slots for movies years ahead of time. Years ahead. Like Disney picks when their movies are coming out, sometimes up to like 2027.
So I think there's a sign now, right? Because that comic that came out, that Silver Surfer Black, because I've been reading a lot of like spec that Disney's gonna come up, right, with a Silver Surfer Galactus like show, and then even collectibles. I got like reports that they're coming up with new collectibles. So there's a push, I think, with Silver Surfer and Galactus, I think.
Yep.
Now, moving on from the last 2 weeks, we've all been having our conversations about if we're buying, what we're going heavy on, if we're not, what we're selling, what is moving, what is not moving. I think we're starting to see some different strategies here. So let's just talk about, for right now, best investments with the most upside in your opinion, given the sort of state of things. Sean, we'll start with you.
I think right now, honestly, the best investment on the app, and I put my money where my mouth is on these, is 100% Black History Month keys. I feel like they came out in a weird time in VeVe where like people were still buying, but so many, like when you compare Black History Month to Women's History Month, the amount of keys that came out in Black History Month was insane versus Women's History Month. And there was a couple Disney drops since then. There's been a whole bunch of other stuff, delayed release, integrated features. There's just so much stuff happening that I don't know. I feel like those Black History Month keys are huge. Like in physical and real life, they're big time. Like there's people that save up paychecks for months just to get one of those. So like, I just think that people haven't had the money in the app and they're kind of like distrustful because, of all the delayed features they were supposed to integrate. And I feel like, God forbid if they got MTL done and they had KYC done and the website was awesome. Jesus. A Luke Cage 1 at 10.
Luke Cage. Yep. Definitely.
A Luke Cage 1 at 10. If we're in speculation, if you guys don't think a Luke Cage 1 at 10 is not a crazy deal, then we're not doing the same thing. We're doing something completely different then.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. We're sticking, but then again, we're all comic book guys, right? But we have noticed that the big key comics, they're the ones who's kind of holding value. But the ones that are undervalued, like the Luke Cage, the NYXs,
Yeah.
Still there, dude. I have no concern. I'm not selling mine because I know Luke Cage at NYX has long-term potential. Moon Knight, Ghost Rider, those are still 20s, 30s. I think they can definitely go to 50s probably down the road. So I think like the big key comics that are still haven't broken through, those are the ones you want to look into as a good investment, I think, right? So the ones under $50, or Daredevil one is still 60s. So that's gonna probably trend up to 80s, 90s again, in line with UF4 and Spidey, I think. So I think the DD1 is definitely undervalued.
Mhm.
Nice, Ray. What about you? Or did you already go?
I'll try and shift away. So I'm gonna agree 100% on the comics. I'm there. I think that we have seen a small push into comics recently. Like everything seems to be up. Like UF4, Fantastic Four 1, like everything's up like 20, 30%.
Yep.
I think soon we start to see some of the collectibles go up. I think Winnie the Pooh, if you can catch it at like 250, probably real solid. Elsa, if it gets back to like 1K, probably real solid. I'm with you, Carmen. If Todd happens to find its way back to the low 3Ks, I may do some selling and some rearranging to pop one of those off, because I find myself like it went to 10K and I was like, I should sell, but then at the same time I was like, but it's my only one. It hurts. So I need one to be like the one I just don't care about. I can just offload it. So I don't know. I think season 1 collectibles will have their day. We saw in the past it flip flops, right? Like money goes into comics, money goes back into collectibles. Now it's in comics. Do we see it go back into collectibles? Probably. So that's what I'm kind of looking at.
Well, I think one thing that I do notice as you brought that up, that there is a lot of people who are not comic book guys like us here, right? So they're more familiar about some of the collectibles like Winnie the Pooh, the Disney characters, etc. So like comic books, you notice, right? A lot of people in the VeVe site, they're all like saying, "Is this a good comic?" They obviously don't know like Moon Knight or NYX's, right? But then when it's like Winnie the Pooh, everybody's like, "Oh, I'm definitely getting Winnie the Pooh," or "I'm getting Ursula." They all know. So there's more mainstream demand, knowledge for like some of the collectibles. So maybe, yeah, you're right. I think maybe there is potential for the collectibles.
Yeah, I think as far as my opinion on investments with the most upside, I think you just have to be super careful with collectibles, because I think we've talked about this before at length, where you really have to pay attention to potential ceilings, right? Like, let's look at these Disney villains. As much as people love the Ursula, it's like, well, is Ursula better than the Timon and Pumbaa golden moment? Because if it's not, well, then it's not going to ever pop that high based on. So you kind of have to start looking at what family it sort of sits in its comparable pairings, right?
You also have to kind of look at like the opportunity cost, right? Like Ursula only has to go from 18 to 36 to double. Pumbaa's going to have to go from 280 to, oh God, I'm not good at math. 560. Okay, there it is. Someone help me. But right, like that's a pretty significant chunk. And so, like, I agree. Like, I don't think they'll ever be as popular, but in terms of ROI, I think it could be similar, right? Like, I don't see much reason why it stays at 20.
Yeah, you could probably stack on Ursula too. If you're stacking, then you can buy like 10 of them, and it's not gonna break the bank, $200, right? So
yeah.
So,
Talk about us being spot on too. When Fantastic Four 1 and Ultimate Fallout 4 1 were 60, we're like, oh, these are gonna double like soon. We're like, these are both gonna double, and then sure enough, literally, not kind of, they both literally doubled.
yeah.
Like, if we just listen to ourselves, we'd probably do really well. Right?
And here's the thing. I think, I guess we'll talk about the secret sauce for a minute. Like, it's, at least for me. So I bought these Fantastic Four 1s at 70, 80, right?
Yeah, we were talking about it too. You were being like, man, you were talking about buying Fantastic Four 1s, and you were right. They shot way the hell out.
And then so they shot up to, like, I sold one at 120, and then I took that 120 and I bought a ton of Inhumans, because, and I've been like, this is I want to buy more, but I just feel like it's an important talking point right now as far as best investments and upside. Like that is a key character with an actress that people love that is currently in MCU canon, and the people love the character. But like, if you're not a comic book person, you're like, what's Inhumans? She's not on the cover unless you're looking at the secret rare or the rare or ultra rare. And it's kind of like this one-off. But at the end of the day, if you can get these books at $5, like it will go to $10. It will absolutely double, especially when, you know, July comes and these new people are joining the app and they're looking around and they're like, well, I can't afford to spend 200, 500 gems on a Winnie the Pooh. Oh, but I have $10 for this Yelena comic book key issue, right?
And that's what I talk about for the comics all the time. You nailed like my 100%. The opportunity cost of looking at collectibles versus comics. You got AAA celebrities tied to these first appearances in comics, and you can try to take a speculation for $5.
Yep. I hate to plug it too, but one of the other big comic book like streaming of what he calls YouTubers brought up NFT VeVe again, and he mentioned like the different variants, and it's a long rabbit hole. There's a lot of, you know, interesting things there. So he got plugged again by one of the big YouTubers. So, you know.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time until the comic.
Yeah.
I mean,
You're gonna hear Logan Paul literally.
It wasn't hate. It wasn't hate too. Some people like question it, and I was thinking here, I was like, oh, it's interesting. You can get FF1, you can get UF4, stuff like that, right? So it's kind of, you know, it was like a inquisitive type of like reference. So like, hey, check it out. You know, it's a different new world, right? So
and Gary Vee said something super cool about stuff like this. He said, I live in the future. He's like, and in 2030, people will look at your social wallet and the things that you buy, everything will be integrated. All the social media apps will be linked. And when they look at your account, they will see what you buy, and that will tell more about you than anything you've ever done in your entire life before that. If you look at what I have in my account, it tells you a shit ton about my psychology, my investing habits, what I find important, what's culturally important to me, what's probably my past history, like, and what I believe in.
Just
like,
don't look at the Google search history.
It's basically that though.
Yeah,
like if you had all women's keys and you were a dude and like you only liked, and all the keys were just like white hot chicks, you would know that person likes. That's what I'm getting at though, is that he talked about that. He's like, you tell on yourself with what you buy.
Well, that's what they say too with the metaverse, right? You can be what you wanted to be in real life, right? Because you can get to buy these Aston Martins that you probably couldn't buy, or you can get to whatever, right? Be a rock star or look whatever you want to look like that you normally wouldn't have done. You know, Ray's probably gonna be like a punk rocker, you know, in the metaverse. You know,
I'm gonna leave that one to Carmen. Carmen's definitely our punk rocker.
Carmen's gonna be.
If anyone is,
I don't need the metaverse. I don't need the metaverse.
I was gonna say, oh goodness.
But so, like, I think this all, when it comes to investments in general now with this app, I think that transitions us to our game plans. And I think we've...
one second, though, Carmen. Someone did ask a question in the chat about comic books and whether or not we think comic book drops, kind of the lack of big key comics, is due to the bots, and whether or not VeVe is trying to make the bots go broke. Seen it a lot on the Facebook group. I'm not super buying into it. One, because I don't think Disney cares. I mean, to be frank, like, Disney cares about bots somewhat, but I don't think they're aligning their drops with bots and trying to make them go broke. And VeVe doesn't have VeVe isn't going to have the say, I don't think, in which comic books come out.
I posted that in one of the groups. I said, why did they post that new comic? And I said, because they're trying to bankrupt the box.
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, maybe, right? I think a lot of it, though, probably is more tied to Disney recognizes this is like, this is a cooling period right now for VeVe until we can get some of those big milestones. And then, bam, maybe we start seeing, like, if they kick off like a giant-sized X-Men 1 alongside MTL, like, that would be just a huge win, right? Anything like it. AF-15 with it. I mean, that's
well,
just
look at Storm statue. It's classified as not a Storm statue. It's classified as an X-Men statue. So, like, they clearly have, like, ulterior hierarchy plans, but they have to wait for some reason
Yeah, no. So I think Disney isn't short-sighted enough to, I don't think, care about bots. Like you said, they're planning up to 2027. Like they have a plan for this.
Yeah.
I am waiting for a Wolverine statue though. While we're talking about the X-Men statues, real pumped about that.
Wolverine Hulk statue comes out the same week as 181.
Oh goodness!
So when you said comic drop Tuesday, what does that mean? That's what's coming up on Tuesday.
We got Puma coming out tomorrow.
Puma.
And on Wednesday we have Black.
Yeah, that's a light. I don't know. That's a light comic. So I mean, it's possible that maybe there is an appearance by Puma in one of the comic books, or they're marketing something. So it's possible they're trying to gauge like some of these like B or C or D characters and testing it here with an NFT pump. So it's possible.
Yeah.
Well, Page likes C characters. He puts C characters in all of his shit. I mean, look at Prowler.
Yeah.
Sony even does too. Like Prowler wasn't a huge character, but like they made Prowler super interesting in that movie.
Because they released like Sirin before, right? I don't think I still seen anything related to Sirin, but I don't know in the comic books, did she make an appearance recently? I haven't been tracking the latest X-Men, so
I don't know. I think they probably just didn't know much about St. Patty's Day related characters.
Oh, but it's St. Patty's Day. That was the reason. That's why. So it was St. Patty's related.
Yeah, that was one of those ones where they probably just they're like the big ones that are Irish. We want to name for when our system actually works. Like,
what about Carmen?
Sorry, guys.
Oh, Carmen. Look, instead of buying 5 Yelena Barov's Inhumans, you might just want to invest in perhaps a better internet package.
I did. Verizon got me by the I can only use Verizon, and they have me by the throat. We have the most expensive internet package, and yet just getting murdered.
Hey, it happens. So our game plan is that I think that's where we were.
Oh.
The game plan.
The game plan. Looks like
game plan.
Yeah, you want to start off game plan, Sean? What's your game plan for the next drops and your investments?
For me, for minor stuff, the only way I'll pick up like anything more than the common, I collect first 5%ers. I try to get like 1xx's or one.
You're a beast. You're a beast. Like almost every day you post like you're getting a 1xxx for like for a deal, man.
Yep. Hey, I keep an eye out. What I do is I take my old stuff that I'm up like 3-4x on, and then I'll sell one of those. Then I'll disperse it amongst a bunch of like new speculations, because like I feel like VeVe's market functions differently than the real collecting world, where like a secret rare of Puma can be $150, $200, and like there doesn't have to be an explanation to that. It's just how VeVe's marketplace has dictated itself out to work. So like there is no $200 first appearance Puma, but like there is on VeVe, and guess what? There's going to be a shit ton of people that buy it.
And there's a short term like pop, right? So you can if you play the short game and you kind of see the pop, you can probably buy like a Puma, I don't know, for 150. It goes up to 200, sell it for 215, 220, and then move on, right? And then you have a couple extra gems, right?
And like the secret rare group, they really just like enjoy the artwork and stuff. Like they're an example of like guys that they don't pump really anything. They don't go out there and tell people what to buy. They just like legit buy the secret rares because they like how the character is on the front cover, and they think that that's going to be really cool in the metaverse, that they have all of the characters' first appearances on a wall, and they can be like, dude, check these out. I didn't even collect comics before, but now I have like tons of physicals, and like it all started with these first appearance secret rares. Like there's actually like people that beyond like you said, Nothmar, the fast flippers slowly one by one are leaving, and the bots are leaving, and we're starting to see people that are like having like long plans where they're like, yeah, I'm gonna keep these ones, but then like when my kids are like 20 or 30, and it's like, damn, you're thinking like 20 years ahead. Like holy shit. Like
yeah, those are the true collectors, right? So those are the ones that might hopefully will. Well, you do need a balance of those flippers and those long-term collectors, so they are part of the markets. The bots too kind of are there, but we want to at least minimize the bots as much as possible, right? Hey, Carmen.
I'm back.
I'm just gonna buy one of each thing until they announce the queue. I'm not buying.
I buy SRs, but I'm picky now. I only buy like the ones that I feel like can 2x or 3x, right? So the NYXs, the Luke Cage SRs, and stuff. So kind of selective. I'll buy here and there. I'll buy something just for the PC. But now I'm in sales mode, right? So I'm trying not to buy as much as possible. So I'm trying to focus on selling.
I'm just buying the black keys and one of each new thing until they announce queue.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm actually like I'm not buying a whole lot. So I went and got a couple more gems like on the half dollar rate because like I know MTL's coming at a certain point. Like it just seems real dumb not to get the people that have to sell at 0.5. I mean that's just silly. So yeah, I'll pick up some cheap gems, but I'm kind of looking at like I said the collectibles and then still keeping an eye on some of the other NFT platforms, right? I know, Sean, you've been checking out Recur. There's HRO. Palm is coming out. I just looked. Palm's Marketplace apparently opens in next month. So we'll see if they actually meet that. We'll see if they meet that deadline, right? But then, they'll have a marketplace for all those initial DC Fandom NFTs. So it'll be interested to see where they go with that because they were all free, so I have no idea what they'll be. But I'm kind of in a holding pattern, waiting for the MTL, and then once we have the for sure, then I'll be back, kind of full swing.
Yeah. I mean, same with me. I think I covered it briefly. I'm focused more on like holding and selling when I see pops, when I see a decent profit that I can exit and reduce some of my thing because I do have a large collection. So, I definitely want to try to slowly take profits and then and when MTL comes, then maybe I'll take some and then put it into. I was gonna reinvest in stocks again and crypto again for this year. So that's kind of my goal to kind of move some of my profits here to my other investments too. So
Yeah, I think that, and that's what's interesting is I think the idea of the long game is becoming more apparent, I think, for everyone. And I don't know, like the people that are running the bots, I don't know how much longer they can sustain that because the game plan that the bots were running in November is absolutely not the game plan that you can run right now. It's just not sustainable and you can't trust the market. And I think, even these most recent Disney drops, if you didn't get Jafar, you were kind of in a tough spot. And I think having a plan moving forward is super important. Like for me, I was really, really happy to grab that Uprising indie art and the Justice indie art. I because they are at like an all-time low and I love them. My number one game plan for that stuff is like for the stuff that I genuinely love, don't expect to make a profit on it. Buy it for the same reason that I buy, a t-shirt or I buy a Harry Potter wand. Like I said last time we met, like buy it for the same reason that I buy a bunch of other stuff, right? Like not because I expect to sell it, but because I genuinely enjoy it. If there's an upside there, great. I might end up getting that second Uprising piece of art. I think it's called like Bunny Blossom.
oh yes, yeah.
And my hope with that is like, okay, maybe if there's like a Gondek type thing, I've been following Cozy and Dan on Instagram, and like they just finished doing a new art piece, and maybe that ends up on VeVe, and maybe it's an airdrop, or maybe it's for the people that have the pair. So I'm thinking in those terms. But then I'm also like in day trader mode a little bit, where I think everybody should be. If you don't have a huge collection, just looking for these entry points, right? Like I'm gonna, I guess, pump it again. Like that Inhumans book, like I'm just gonna keep as long as it's at $5 and there are still 4-digit mints that are popping up, whether it's 3K or 4K. I'm just gonna buy and sell the ones that I have because it's moving from 5 to 650 like every other day. And in my brain, I'm like, all right, well, if I just buy this at 5 and then sell it at 650, I'm actually making like a nice little rip. And I've got 30 of them. And like if I can just cycle through that, first of all, it's fun. But second of all, like if I can just do that, you're kind of out of the air, but you kind of have to know whatever it is that you're buying and be familiar with that market. Because doing that with like a Winnie the Pooh, right? Like you had said earlier, not really the best piece of advice, right?
Mm-hmm.
So moving on. What do we have next, Nathmar, on deck?
Next is Spec Talk.
Yes. Sorry guys, I had to switch to my iPhone because my
It's better internet than your Verizon wireless package. Yeah.
How bad is it on screen? Is it bad?
Nah.
Oh, it looks good. It looks okay.
Yeah.
Looks
Okay. All right.
If anything, you look even stronger. You're just looking stacked
Yeah, I know,
back
you're
there,
looking
like the
up.
up angle.
Like,
Yeah.
You're
that's
looking
pretty
more muscular.
Yeah. It's because of my internet, guys.
Yeah.
I had to change to this fish-eyed lens. So we've also been talking a lot about, if we're talking about 30 or if we're talking about 2030 or if we're talking about 2025, what does that look like? I think you can get as crazy as you want, right? Like speculative talk can be like, we can put on visors and walk through the comics, right? And that's like super, super extreme. But I think the more tangible stuff is just quite literally like, if you're going to be able to drive something, what does that actually mean and what does that look like? If something is going to be gamified, what does that mean and what does that look like? If there's something that's going to have real world utility out of all of the collectibles, which ones are most likely to have real world utility? So let's start there, and then we'll go MTL, and then we'll just move right down the line. So Nathmar, what do you think as far as like, most tangible speculative utility?
I mean, the obvious ones are the what it calls the automotive ones, right? So they're the ones that we say, or the motorcycles or whatnot, because like easily you can have a game that you can transport or go to another place. I think those have the best potential utility. We always said that Disney stuff also maybe can give you discounts to Disney products and comic books. I hopefully will get deals on future comics or collectibles. But if I think VeVe, I don't know, but because for them to really make a game and make it some popular so that these NFTs will get utility, I'm not sure. I'm not sold yet that they can do it, because that's like professional gamers, like are the ones who probably do that, and they focus on that constantly. So I don't know if that's VV's strengths. I mean, it's possible maybe they can partner with like one of the big gaming platforms and say, hey, sell our NFTs there. We'll partner, and then we will give you a cut if people buy it there or something like that. Maybe that's a better route. So these guys can just focus on their strength is creating NFTs, right? I'm not sure if their strength is like gaming or metaverse yet. So they haven't shown that to me. So I know Sean is very has a strong belief there, but I'm not sold yet that these guys have the capability to do that. So I think maybe a partnership with a gaming company or like Meta or Oculus or something. Maybe that's what one.
I think they did partner with the gaming company, didn't they? Like Epcos Games or something like that.
I thought so. I don't have the details. I did read that they did kind of get some sort of gaming company partnership.
It's so early though. It's like you said, they haven't proved shit.
So I don't know if they can deliver on that promise. So because I think their strength is really pumping out NFTs, right? So
yeah, Ray, what about you?
So I kind of see it as three categories, right? The first is comics, right? And so I think we're going to start seeing it like if they can go mainstream, comic book shows will start to have NFTs. I think that there's a way that you could do it. I think there's a way you could incorporate them. I think having physical carriers to show off the comics, like a digital photo album, like CGC, but here it's for your high mint SR, right? Like that's tangible utility there that you can show off. You can put it in your man cave, Nathmar, and just be rocking out with your, sub 200 mints or whatnot, right? I think that's huge. I think we could see video games, but I agree. I don't know that it's going to be VeVe. What I could see happening though is a game like Fortnite, right? That's where Disney already has Fortnite show off like Thor hammers and whatnot, right? So what's to say that they don't say for Fortnite, look, if you own these NFTs, you can use that as your parachute in. I don't play the game, but I played the Call of Duty one, right? So you parachute in and you can have certain equipment attached. But if you have the NFT, then you can bring it into that, right? Like, so I could see almost like three-way partnerships, right? Disney has partnerships with all kinds of companies for their video games. Bring in VeVe, and then if you control the Disney NFT, then you can then use the Disney accessory in that game. That makes a lot of sense to me, and then you're putting the resources for game and design to a company that's been doing it for 6 years and shows that they have the best, you know, like one of the most popular games of all time, right? Like I think that's an easy one. And then the third one, I think we hope we start to see more tickets, right? Park tickets for having the golden moments. I do think I'll be interested to see what they do, right? Because do you think it's just the biggest golden moments get better tickets, or are they just going to be the same if you own one? Do you have to have a set? I don't know what that's going to look like, but you know, entry into events, that kind of thing. So I think that's where we could see some pretty easy speculation. And it's already happened, right? Like we had Disney Plus. I got my free 3 months.
Yep.
So it's just a matter of like them. And I think that's a pretty easy rollout. And it's not dependent on VeVe having the ability to design anything, because all they have to do is say, hey, you have it on the blockchain, then you just show proof or whatever it is, right? So I think of those as like some pretty likely, you know, 5-10 year things, right?
Oh, there's a Facebook user comment.
It says, would you recommend stacking diamond for after MTL?
So I can say right now that I'm stacking gems at 0.5 because I think that you're guaranteed to make money at 0.5. I don't know why people think 0.5 is the math. Like even with taxes and a 10% withdrawal fee, you shouldn't be getting 50% for your gem. I just don't know where that's coming from. I don't know what the math looks like. It doesn't, like, as someone that has done, so I don't know, but I think I am personally, when I have a chance and I have some free gambling money, I'm buying 50% off gems and I'm saving them for a time in which we start to see some real positive growth. And Sean hits it every time, and he's exactly right. MTL is going to be the big one. I don't know if the drop is going to be before MTL, after MTL, but it's going to be a huge ramp up afterwards. So I'm stacking now so that I can have flexibility. Maybe I spend half of my stack before MTL, half of it after. So no matter what, I'm going to catch the incline. I mean, you can't go wrong there. So that's my thoughts.
Yeah, I think the 0.5 gems at this point is just, you know, I think we've had this conversation too in the group chat. Is just, I think people need to get their money out, and there are enough people who need to get their money out that it's just a matter of desperation, and everybody's racing to the bottom. I mean, that's great news for anybody who wants to buy right now, but I think, you know, even
runs out eventually, even if they didn't, I 100% believe that even if they didn't have MTL in 3 months, I believe that over time, the amount of people willing to sell for 0.5, 0.4 is going to get lower and lower and lower and lower to the point where you're either going to have people that are like, I don't give a fuck, I'm going to hold my shit until it's worth something. Or you're going to have people that are like selling the shit for 0.1 because they're like, I need money, I can't pay my rent.
So is that the play then, right? You buy it 0.5, MTL comes, and then you can buy and sell gems again back to regular 1-for-1. You double your money or whatever, right? So is that the play?
And like, if you're
just buying actual NFTs, because the way I look at it is, if I buy NFTs now and there's a swing upwards, then I can sell on the way up, and I can still do the same thing a person that held their gems on the side can do. And if I am right, and I grab something that does 2, 3, 4x, that person sitting with their gems lost out on a shit ton of action. They won't have access to any of those NFTs. They'll never get them ever again. And they're going to be like quadruple the price of what they thought they were going to get them for.
Yeah, again, like those
risk holding a ton of gems on the side, in my opinion.
I completely agree with you, Sean. And it's, when you got Inhumans at $5 and you're buying at 0.5, you're buying these comics at $2.50.
Yep.
And if you buy even 100 of them, it's the chances of them moving up north is pretty high. And then we look at even those collectibles like Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman's at like 280. So that means you're grabbing it for 140 right now. And if it goes from 140 back to 1700, you're 10xing your money all over again. But I think it's just a matter of believing in kind of the future. We got another comment. What's up, guys? What's your favorite NFT projects right now? So I'll just say for me, VeVe, only because I'm literally not in anything else. So I'm gonna step out of this conversation for this feedback. Sean, what are you in right now? What's your favorite and why?
I probably have like 5 or 6 different projects, NFTs, but not a lot of them like VeVe. VeVe is what I have like 90% of my stuff in. I would say about 90%. And as far as NFTs, and I think it's just the best platform by far. And I'm not like I'm not dick riding whatsoever. If it didn't have the best user experience, like if I didn't truly believe that in the next 3 years their user experience is going to get clean the hell up and they're going to have like a sick ass experience over the next 3 years, I wouldn't be spending money on this platform. I do not play favorites at all. Like VeVe by far has the biggest opportunity in the field right now, and the only person that even could maybe respond to that is Palm. Maybe, and that's if they have DC Comics like they say they do, and they haven't even proved that shit yet. They haven't released a single damn DC Comic. So for all we know, they could just be blowing smoke out that ass. So like the only platform. I mean, do you know how many projects I joined and bought NFTs in, and they made all sorts of promises? All of them. Do you know how many of them kept their promises? None of them. Not a single project I took part in besides VeVe, and everyone talking shit about VeVe. I mean, I talk shit about VeVe too a lot because I'm getting frustrated as hell because I have a lot of money in my account for like my tax bracket. Like I got a lot of cash. So like they need to hurry the fuck up. But at the same time, all these projects suck ass. It's a new I bet websites in the 90s when I was a kid sucked. I bet they were horrible experiences. I bet the websites were fucking terrible. And now websites are so fun to use that we're freaking addicted to them like we're smoking crack. Like, that's how good their experience is now. And I think VeVe goes there, where it gets to the point where people literally wake up in the morning, they're like, check in my VeVe while I drink coffee. I can't help it.
Yeah, the user experience is something really worth paying attention to. And speaking directly to like websites in general, I remember when I was making music and I had to make a website, or I did making a website in 2010. There were so many roadblocks and so many hurdles. And then, 2 years ago, I discovered Squarespace and was just like, what? Why is this as easy as it is to do what I need to do? And, everything else. But I think looking at those places, I think will give you a hint about where VeVe's probably going to go, and hopefully Palm and all these other places go too.
VeVe's taking a crypto NFT world and turning it into a single button press video game, like where you can spend fucking $10 million like this, boop, boop. Like that's all you have to do, and you're buying assets and storing them. Like that's some insane experience. Like, that's a user experience that if they don't fuck this up, David Yu's going to be a multi-billionaire very quickly. Very, very quickly, that man is going to be hyper rich. Right?
I'll throw my pitch in for Paul. So VeVe 100%, like Sean, 95% of my stuff is in VeVe. But Palm, I mean, we know again, we haven't seen the comics, but we have the DC Comics officially saying they partnered with them, so that gives me at least some hope. And I don't know that DC wants to put their comics on VeVe only because Marvel's just crushing it right now, right? Like that's going to be tough to compete with. But I mean, I'm interested to see what the marketplace for Palm looks like. Supposed to come out in May. If they can hit that, and we can kind of see, they've already said the DC Fandom is supposed to have some special features for if you've got certain covers or certain one of their NFTs they give out for free. I like the idea of the cow coming out in 2 days. I know we're going to talk about that later. But I think of all the projects, they have good potential, right? Like Action Comics 1, I mean, as a comics lover, how do I not go buy something I'll never have
So is that coming out? Is Action Comics 1 coming out?
Don't know yet. No, no. But if it does, right? Like if they start with a huge drop, like Marvel Comics 1, if I see Palm do Action Comics 1, imagine having gotten it at Marvel Comics 1 when it first came out in VeVe, right? Like
for World now, people are going to be spending like $500,000 on those out the gate.
Exactly. So I think that's,
yeah.
So it's just like I think Palm's a really cool one. I think HRO has a good idea. I need to see more utility out of them first. I bought in early. I've actually sold 95% of the stuff for a pretty hefty profit, but now it's trending down, and you're starting to see like Sean, you hit it, man. Like the user experience just isn't like the app is clunky. They do have leaderboards, which is great, but like if there's no way to, yeah, exactly. And so it's just I need to see. I think VeVe will continue to reign supreme. I think Palm right now is the one that I have some serious interest in.
I agree.
Nice. Nothmar, what about you?
I mean, same thing. I'm mostly VeVe. I do like sports, but I didn't like the sports from Recur because they're mostly college players. So I'm more of a professionals guy. So I like some of the athletes from DraftKings. So I bought a couple, but they're more independent. They're not associated with their team. So I think the upside is limited because of that, right? But I mean, getting Tom Brady and Tiger Woods, those are pretty cool. I mean, I was thinking about delving into Top Shots, but so that's because I love basketball. So I was looking into that. So any of the sports related ones, I would consider. The Palm, I'll take a look because I did get some of those drops before, those freebies, and if they have some decent stuff, it might be worth looking into it. But yeah, majority is VeVe for me. But I'm gonna, as you guys know, I'm going to slowly diversify away from VeVe.
Yeah, I think ultimately, if I were to get into anything else, I would probably go with Palm and this cowl that's coming out. My only issue is it's just so expensive, and I don't know if we've seen. We probably haven't, but I don't know if that cowl is gonna 3x or 4x, or if whatever.
Sean, how many Recur passes did they come out with?
Between the ones that they kept on the team because they produced, I think, an extra like 10 to 20% extra after the full amount. So I think it was between 40 and 60K. So I want to say I think it was 55 before. So let's just say 70K or less.
Yeah. Oh, it says on their website it says 70K, and
70.
And then they're doing 200 for the cap.
Well, and then a good one to compare it to is going to be the Matrix one. That's going to be your best bet because it's produced by the same company. The Matrix one sold out. It was produced by the exact same company, Warner Brothers. That's why you get early access if you have the Matrix one. And there was 100,000 of those, and they sold out fucking. It sold out so fast that you think VeVe had problems. Holy shit. You had to stay on with your spot in the queue for days. It wasn't just like I'm waiting for my thing today. It was literally my shit was logged in for days to even get it. That's how crazy NFTs were even just a year ago. Think about what they were like probably like 5 years ago. It was probably chaos. Like,
right.
But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, my only concern with the cowl, because I could have sworn I saw a physical version of the cowl, like when I was looking, because I've been buying statues a lot lately, right? And I saw the cowl, and it wasn't even close to that expensive. And I'm looking now, I mean, the most expensive ones are not even like worth $100, right? So they're selling a lot of money. Oh, there is one for $5.99, but this is like Christian Bale actually wore it.
The way that I heard that they're going to justify the prices is that, like, for example, 10 of the cowls, or maybe it was 18, I forget, will have
supposedly, right? Unique.
Yeah, they'll have like the Batman Who Laughs design on them instead. So like only 10 people will have the Batman Who Laughs cowl. And then that's going to give you access, probably, I'm going to guess, because if they have actual creatives involved on the team, that probably gives you access to some Batman Who Laughs shit that comes out later.
Yeah, I mean, uniqueness might be a reason for, some collectors to say, hey, there's only 1 out of it or 10 out of it, right? So maybe that's potential. So
yeah, sure, though.
Yeah, and so my thought is if they play it, they've already said like, hey, if you have the DC Fandom, you can get the early access too, right? And so my hope is they've already said the Cal is going to give you early access to drops, right? Kind of like the Recur Pass. The Recur Pass I didn't pick up just because I didn't do it at the time. Wish I had, because that was an easy triple up on money, right? Hit 800 at some point, right? But if I think DC Comics is coming out with their comics on the Palm platform, and that those comics will be the big comics that we all know. I mean, DC has some really big ones out there, and that guarantees my ability to get an Action Comics 1 or 10 of them at drop price. I've now made my money back easy, guaranteed. There's no way that would.
300 for is the fact that if I get access to the first Batman or first Superman, hell, even just the first Green Lantern or anybody that's in the top 10 characters at DC, any of the 10, if we get access to that, even one cow was worth it.
I mean,
Yeah, so I'll take the bet. For
yeah,
that.
it's a speculator's dream, right? Because like right now, they're all there because the momentum is there right now too, right? So if they buy it early, they buy a cowl, they buy a Showcase 22 for like whatever $50. Then when people join 2 days later, they sell it for $300. So it's like easy money, right? So it's a speculator's like paradise, I think. What's going on?
Yep. And if you already have early access, I mean, you already hopped on the train from before.
You might as well ride it again.
Yeah, Recur. That's what Recur should have done, right? Because like they had that spec things and their ticket. So, but if they had stuff that were really in demand, it would have probably went ballistic, right? Because like everybody was making profit. But then they came up with kind of duds with like some of these college players, like No Name, who didn't even become big in the pros, right? So.
Yep.
Carmen, what are you thinking? You're all quiet over there, Carmen.
I'm again, like I said, like I don't want to talk about anything that I'm not familiar with, and I'm just more interested to hear what you guys think, because it's absolutely going to influence my decision. It's just 200, like, again, because I'm in VeVe and I have my plan, it's just going to be tough for me to spend. So the cow's 200?
300.
Okay, so it's going to be tough for me to spend 300 on a cow when I can spend, if you spend 300 on gems at 0.5, you're getting
600 gems.
Well, but that's the thing, Carmen. They're saying potentially we came that scenario that you can probably buy a comic, hypothetically drop early for $20, and then
what if you get rare Action Comics #1?
Listen, I get it, but I just have been on.
That's what's driving it, probably.
Right, and I've been on the wrong end of that kind of move. Right, where
all of us have. That's 99% of the time you're on the wrong end. Get the gift.
So I don't know.
We're only 4 guys.
I'm kind of torn with whether or not I want to pull the trigger on the cow. When I can go to something that's a little, at least for me right now, a little more certain and definite.
And here's my opinion too on it. I think because there's 200,000, I think what's going to happen is that you're going to have guys that buy 10, 20, or 30 of them, and they're going to gamble. Those guys will hit one that's semi-rare or have something good in it. Yep. Those are the ones that everybody's going to want. So they'll probably maybe 10K, 20, 30K. They're dope as fuck, and everybody's going to want them. And I think what's going to happen is the 150,000 or the 175,000 that are just like the normal or like the middle ground ones, I guarantee you they go below 300.
Dude, like imagine one of those cowl was drawn by Frank Miller, right? Mm-hmm. Forget it, right? So we'd go crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, but your chance is 1 in 200. I have such bad luck. I just know I'm getting.
And that's my worry. And then, do we know what Palm is doing to deal with bots? Is there any, or are they in the? That's all over again.
See, that's the danger, because I'm already seeing some of the suspected botters already in those other platforms already. The people that I suspect, they're already in those other platforms.
So that's what I want in Palm, though, because if they don't have good bot guards up and I get one of those good books, I ain't going to hold on to it. If I get lucky and I get something dope, I'm going to let the bots pump that shit up and I'm going to sell my shit.
Sell it.
And that's again, like, I don't know if I feel like navigating that minefield that is that bot world again, when I feel like VeVe has cleaned up.
But what is pretty cool, they did say, they announced with Snapchat just announced that your cow will unlock a special lens for the Snapchat filter, so you can use your own personal cow.
Beyond that, even they announced that you can do it in any Microsoft program. You can literally say you're in like working at work. You can put your cowl on while you're working.
Oh, see, okay. That's pretty cool.
So now, right? So this is why I don't say anything, because I need. This is why
there's crazy shit involved with this.
Quiet.
This is by far the biggest corporate NFT project ever done. There's never been a corporate NFT project done at this level. This is by far the highest level that it's ever been done at.
So with that additional utility of the cow, well, now I'm a little bit more interested, right? I think
lots of speculation,
and those are the things that really I'm still very, very excited for. And I've been saying this in the group, even something as simple as, and I don't know if this would take Meta to buy VeVe. I'm sure they could do it just as some sort of licensing agreement, but I would just love to be able to put a link in my Instagram profile or in wherever. Just right underneath, you can click my link to view my vault, and anybody who doesn't even have a VeVe account can just say, "Oh, like what is he talking about?" Click it, and then it will just bring their screen. It's almost like what was that app we were using, Nathmar? Spatial,
yep.
Yeah, like that user experience was very, very easy, and I don't think that would take too much for us to be able to do. Even something simple like that is what I'm really hopeful for.
Zuckerberg said that he's working on right now actively that Instagram is going to have a feature where you can integrate your NFTs into your profile view, so that the first thing people like, say you saw my profile right there, you would see my favorite NFT. You could click on that NFT in the profile thing, and it would take you to my gallery.
Yeah. That's what I'm looking forward to.
I can also see VeVe monitoring this approach too, right? If this is successful, hey, they're probably gonna experiment and do like some sort of like X-Men logo or Avengers outfit and do like one of one for like whatever, and then that's gonna drive prices up because there's only 1 out of 10 or whatever. So they'll focus on dropping similar stuff like that too, like in their platform. So that might change some of the landscape of how people like do drops to make sure that they go up in value. Probably
VeVe could even turn any single comic book of any rarity on the entire platform into a key for a drop.
Yeah,
literally at any time, and they could change it every week, and it'd be super easy.
Yeah,
super
just
easy.
limit those super rares. Make it like only like 50 or 100. Don't, like that will just make those prices skyrocket some more.
Right. Imagine if they said only people with a secret rare loot cage have access to Fantastic 452's drop.
Yep. Oh yeah. Oh man, that's so easy to do. They should definitely do something like that, right?
And I think they will in the future. I think you seems like he likes to listen. Like a lot of the things that he's integrated were actually ideas from the community, not from you. A lot of the ideas that are happening on the platform right now are from people complaining, not from him initially. So like, I know that's scary. That sounds scary as shit because it makes him seem like he's just a normal guy. But that's way better than most corporate people because they don't listen to shit people say.
Yeah, and I think that's the I guess maybe that's where some of my grace has been with this company in some aspects. I think there are other aspects where they've absolutely dropped the ball and there are things they need to fix. But they're building the plane as they're flying it, and they're being very responsive, right? They're listening to us and they're saying like, well, that was not our intention at all. But now that you mention it, I guess we can do that. As opposed to like Recur, who seems to have had this like plan.
Recur's been working on MTL for 3 years. They've been planning this release since before the pandemic.
Yeah, but dude, I can't give like VeVe like a way out like that, right? I work in corporate all the time. Like we change product priorities on a dime, right? So we just say, hey, top priority is KYC. Dude, within a month or two, we'd have some sort of limited release already ready, right? So this is like so long. This is like 6 months since or more last year that they already started doing this. And it's not I don't think it's an excuse. They're raking money similar to some of the startups I've worked for. So they have money and they could have definitely done it. So I can't give them a pass, dude. They should have done some sort of release right now for MTL, KYC, and all of these.
Now, not part.
You're the only one with experience in this, really. So I mean, you're the only one that could speak to professional MTLing, or something like
not part. Do you have like a date? Like, do you have a timeline where you're like, they need it? I have the experience, and my experience tells me that they need to have this by this date, or I think, it's all.
Well, not a personal timeline, but like as a, I mean, it's tough, man. It's really the way that they've handled, feature changes and priorities. It's just for me, it's boggling because, like, as somebody who worked in IT, if something's broken, we usually release or have a fix right away, and like within like 2 weeks to a month, right? So not like here we have constantly all these bots, all these crashes, all you can't even release some sort of like mini MTL so that people can cash out, or
give
stop
an easy win with the lobby system. The lobby
the
system
lobby
doesn't
system.
require laws. Like I got it, MTL. There's a lot of regulatory.
Yeah,
schemes
exactly.
you gotta
The
navigate.
lobby system.
But the lobby system is just strictly, can you develop the process? And they've said they could. They said it was going to be here January of this year.
Yeah.
We're now
But
almost
that's why
at
I'm
that.
saying there's also corporate greed is also part of the deal here, because like these guys are only more focused on sales, and like one of our Facebook users commented that they probably delayed it because right now they're not selling out drops anymore, and like less bots now. So they probably, it's possible that they put it in the back burner because they're not selling out anymore, and they want people to these bots to help them sell these drops, right? So it's possible that they're corporate greed, you don't underestimate it because these guys, they go
100%.
with the money.
The user numbers could have been mostly bots at one point, and they realized that if they eliminated the bot problem as early as they could have, they would have eliminated 90% of their user base. And then they would have not been VeVe the Great. They would have been VeVe has a small platform.
Yeah, that's a great point. I never thought about it like that, for sure.
So in a way, you could say that they're actually kicking ass because, because they kept it afloat. They kept a sinking boat that was fucking destroyed afloat because it was wrecked.
Even my problem, right, with my crash, right, and the buyer was potentially a sniper bot, dude. How easy is it for them to check that the buyer was a sniper and then cancel it? It should be so easy, but they said they cannot comment on it. It's already a sale, dude. Screw the sale, man. You have one of your best customers here, like potentially the app I'm saying crashed and somebody bought it and it's a sniper bot. Just like cancel it, dude. How hard can that be? And they're not just saying anything, just moving forward. They're not even apologizing. They're not even saying anything. They don't care. So for them, they made their success fee, so they're happy. They don't care anymore. They're going to move on, right?
I wonder if they feel like they can wash their hands of stuff because it's like crypto related and like they can be like, well, we're trying to be decentralized.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I understand that, but then you do want still some legitimacy, and you don't want like people like, if there was bots that illegally have like bought stuff and then dump the market, you want to definitely control that, right? So just letting that constantly destroy the marketplace, I don't think they should do that, right? So it's a fine line with being an open market versus like letting like the nefarious actors like constantly try to dump on the system, right? In my opinion.
And stuff like that makes it blatantly evident to me that we're in a beta app. Like that these guys are like way in over their head, and they're
I'm one of the biggest supporters, and now I'm like, dude, I want to sell, so I totally changed my outlook. So these guys disappointed me, and I don't know what to say, right? So, but they can easily fix this. It's not a big problem for them. For them, what is 5-6K, right? That's nothing for them. So it's not a problem. And I do have legitimate reasons, 2 legitimate reasons, so they can't address that. So it's very disappointing. Very disappointing.
Yep, and the only way they can get you back is if prices go 10x. The only way they can.
That might help a little bit, but it's just a principle, right?
If they fix the market and get your wallet cracking, then we'll be like, you guys better fucking get your shit together, keep it up. Like,
yeah.
We'll see.
Right,
that sucks. I still think about that happening. I'm like, God, it sucks ass.
I know.
Yep.
Okay, so we are 8 minutes over the show. So we are going to call it a night. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for posting those questions. I am Carmen. We have Ray, Sean, and Nathmar. Thank you for hanging out in the dojo. Have a good night, guys. Take it easy.
Later, guys.
Later.